Welcome to the Everything Financial Radio program. I'm your host, Dennis Tubbergen. We are here every week at this time, and we are here to educate you about what's going on in the economy around the world and how it might affect you and your finances. If you are a new listener, welcome. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. Glad you decided to tune in again. I have a terrific show lined up for you today. We have Mr. Jim Babka from the organization DownsizeDC.org stopping in. It's always terrific to get Jim's perspective on what's going in Washington. Certainly there's an awful lot to talk about in Washington these days, so we'll get his perspective. Also, some seemingly bright folks are saying that U.S. budget cuts, U.S. government budget cuts, are starting to squeeze the U.S. economy. Manufacturing in the United States has declined, according to an article published in the Telegraph, and to blame, according to some bright folks, U.S. government budget cuts. Are they right? I'll explore that in the second segment of today's program. And if you are planning a trip to Disney, you'll want to make sure you put a few extra bills in your wallet, because if you want to go wish on a star, it's going to cost you some more money. Disney announced that ticket prices will be increasing, the Associated Press reported. Disney said in a statement that one-day adult ticket prices will jump $5 to $92. Kids tickets up to $87, also up $5. If you're going to Disney World in Florida, the state of Florida charges tax on ticket prices, so it'll now cost you $101.18 to get into a Disney resort for the day in Florida. How do we square this? Unemployment's not improving. Record numbers are receiving government assistance, and yet Disney is raising prices while many retailers are closing stores. How do we square this, and what does it tell us about the economy? I'm going to give you an explanation that I hope will be enlightening to you. I hope it'll tell you a little bit about what's going on in the economy and how it might affect you and your nest egg. We'll talk about that in the last segment of today's program. So a lot to talk about. Let me remind you also that our new retirement rules class for June, unfortunately, has reached capacity. We've had to turn some people away. However, we have added a July class. The class is 3 nights. We charge $49 to cover the books and handouts, and will be held on 3 Thursday nights in July. You can get more information by visiting our website, newretirementrules.com. The website, again, newretirementrules.com. There is information posted there if you'd like to learn more. If you'd like to register while space remains for our July program, there is a link there on the right-hand side of the website to allow you to register. Again, the site, newretirementrules.com. And if you'd like to listen to any Everything Financial radio program or go back and re-listen to an interview with one of our guest experts, you can go to everythingfinancialradio.com, or you can go to the iTunes store and just search under Everything Financial Radio. I am pleased to have back on the Everything Financial Radio program with me today Mr. Jim Babka. Jim is president of the organization DownsizeDC.org. It's always a pleasure to have him on the program and get his perspective. So, Jim, welcome back.
I'm glad to be here, Dennis.
Jim, for our listeners maybe that haven't caught one of the other interviews here on the Everything Financial Radio program, maybe explain a little bit about your organization, Downsize DC, and how it came to be and what it does.
Well, Downsize DC came about from the insight that even if you elect the right people, you still have to watch them like a hawk. But we tend not to elect the right people, so we have an awful lot of watching to do. And we've asked people to, we provide people with a free, easy-to-use system that allows them to send a personalized message to their representative and 2 senators simultaneously. And each day we usually keep people up to date on something, some activity or activities that are going on in Congress, and encourage them with a sample letter and with some details in case they want to write their own letter that they can send off to Washington. And we deliver those messages in such a way that office knows that it's hearing from a constituent, and we know from past experience that messages from constituents are counted and they do matter, particularly if there are a lot of them.
So, Jim, let's talk a little bit about one of your organization's initiatives, something called, I believe, Read the Bills Act. And I couldn't help but think about you when I saw the size of some of the proposed immigration bills, the size of Obamacare or even larger. Explain what the Read the Bills Act is and Give me your perspective on what's going on now as far as immigration reform discussions are concerned.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to back up a second. Since you and I last spoke, the Read the Bills Act has been introduced for the first time in the U.S. House of Representatives. And that should be something that under normal circumstances I'd be very enthusiastic about. But two of the provisions in that bill are extremely important. In fact, so important that we thought that they were critical. Or they were so important that we would have, if we could have only reduced the bill down to these two things, we would have done it. Well, one of those two things was stripped out in the version that was introduced. And so we're a little bit less enthusiastic because we believe that what we've been reduced to is maybe the best sunshine bill ever. And our intention was a lot broader than that. We actually wanted to create a situation that made the volume of the bills small enough that the size of government would freeze or perhaps even shrink. We are downsized D.C. after all. So having said that, the Read the Bills Act, as we conceived it, was a requirement that Congress would have to read all of their bills. If a member wanted to vote yes to spend your money to create or retain a program or to pass a law that was going to be binding on you, they had to sign an affidavit. The affidavit requirement's one of the more, I would say, minor things that was dropped from the version that was introduced. But they would sign an affidavit saying that they have read the bill for themselves or they've heard it read to them. And here's the part that got removed that I think is really crucial, Dennis, and that is that a quorum, which the Constitution defines as 50% plus one of the members, would have to sit and listen to a literal word-for-word, in-order reading of the bill from start to finish. And the reason was simple. The mind will procure what the hiney will endure. If your congressman has to sit through an 1,800-page bill or a 2,800-page bill, as we're talking about here with this the immigration proposal, if they have to sit and listen to a bill that long, I promise you the bills will get shorter and they will get fewer. But that provision did not make it into the Read the Bills Act that was introduced in the House. We also said that once the bill was introduced, that there were 7 days. A clock would start, 7-day waiting period before the Congress could vote on the bill. During those 7 days, the bill had to be posted online so that you, as a talk show host, can read it. Watchdog groups that people trust, like downsizedc.org, could read it, and every individual in the country could read it. Now, Dennis, it didn't really occur to me to ever say this before. This is the very first radio show that I'm going to say what I'm about to say, and that is that reading provision was crucial for another reason. It meant that the volume of words that could be issued at any one time for you to have to read was limited by how fast they could read those things out loud with 50% of the congressmen sitting on their seats listening to it. That meant that it would be readable for you. It meant that the reading would be kept to a dull roar. Now, with that provision gone, in the version that was introduced, there is no limit. They could drop 4,000 words today, 4,000 pages today, 4,000 pages tomorrow, and 4,000 pages the day after. And they could even claim to have read it because the affidavit proposal isn't there. We still support this bill and think that it is progress on our part to have it introduced. We still consider it good news because it is progress, but it's not quite great news, and we think it's very, very vital, very important that we get a Read the Bills Act that actually slows Congress down, causes them to sweat the details, and allows watchdog groups and individual citizens to really keep an eye on what it is that they're doing in Congress.
Jim, let's talk about immigration for a minute. From your perspective, will there be anything meaningful or productive that may come out of some of the proposed bills that are being discussed?
I highly doubt it. This is not the very first time that immigration reform has been attempted. It's not the first, if they pass it, which is kind of dubious. If they pass something, it won't be the first time they've passed some kind of immigration reform. And I think the problem is that we fundamentally have made a moral decision, a bad calculation, that it's okay to ban some people from being able to get into the country. You know, if people should be able to be free. They should be able to choose where it is that they live and where they work. And we should be excited, welcoming, encouraging people who want to be a part of this country. This is a huge compliment to us, Dennis, that people will go to such effort, such lengths to get here. And the fact that we have set up a two-tiered, almost apartheid-like system of legal and illegal, a very, very arbitrary, under very arbitrary rationale, has put us in a position that we're in today, where there are people who are coming in this country, potentially maybe even to suck the system dry in some way. But that system the problem isn't because of Mexican immigrants. That's because of white liberals. And it's because of lots of white conservatives who have played into the premise that the real problem isn't the white liberal and his programs. The real problem is that these immigrants want to come to this country and participate in. but it overlooks something very, very fundamental, and that is that anybody that comes into this country and works and produces, and these people generally and by and large do, overwhelmingly in fact do, is adding to the value, to the GDP of the country. They're providing value to other people through the goods and services they're providing. They're doing jobs in many cases that we can't get Americans to do, that are keeping the cost of your food down. They're doing so many of these very important things. And the last point I would make about this is that there, I think, is a great myth out there that there's a legal line through which these people can get into the country, but that legal line doesn't really exist. And the line that was there for many of our great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents to come into this country did actually exist. It was fairly long. It was almost unlimited. There were a couple of classes, maybe of a disease or crime that might keep you out of the country, but it wasn't true that you would be kept out of the country based on your ethnicity or your origin. And that now is the case, and the numbers are very, very limited, and the system is so corrupt and so bad that it even breaks up families. I really, really think we've got to come to the point where we look at this place as the land of opportunity that the Statue of Liberty proclaims. That this is the place that the huddled, tired masses can come because they yearn to breathe free. And we should consider it an honor and a compliment that so many people will go to such great lengths to come to the United States.
Well, Jim, we are going to leave it there, but stay with us. We're going to continue our conversation with Mr. Jim Babka of downsizedc.org in the third segment of today's program, and we're going to get his take on what's going on in Washington. You won't want to miss it, so stay with us. Everything Financial Radio returns after these words.